Honestly, one of the most shocking and surprising and most fun silent pictures that I have watched so far in this challenge. The Thief of Baghdad. So The Thief of Baghdad is one of the Arabian Nights tales, and it takes place in Baghdad, of course, and it's about a thief. And he's only mentioned as a thief. He doesn't really have a name in this movie, but either way, this movie does not take any time to finally get started because you see the thief, he's sleeping on top of this water fountain. A rich man comes by, he snatches the purse. You get the drill. And even one of these rich men actually discovers him stealing the purse. They fight over it. A guard comes by, and after saying, he did it, he did it, he did it, the rich man says, well, why don't he just tell me what's inside the purse, and then it'll be proof that it is his. And the thief says, it's empty. And sure enough, when the guard checks it, it's actually empty. So he's a pretty good thief. And as the movie goes on, he goes around stealing food, jewels, and there was even one point where one guy says, you see this jewel right here? It is 20 lashes if you steal this thing. And yet he still manages to steal this thing. And with street performers happening, him jumping through windows, escaping people, all the running around, him hopping around on a bunch of stuff, I'm just sitting here thinking, there's something very familiar about all of this. And it didn't take this movie long for me to finally connect the dots. Because the title comes up saying that it's the princess's birthday, and now there's a bunch of suitors from several other kingdoms coming to seek the princess's hand, and the thief wants to get into this castle and steal the jewels. But once when he is in there, once when he has finally got the treasure of a lifetime, there's something that catches his eye, and that is the princess. And I'm thinking, this is the story of Aladdin, isn't it? And sure enough, it actually is the story of Aladdin. Because he wants to get back in there, he wants to see her again, he wants to marry her. And he and his buddy come up with an idea where they would disguise him as a prince so that he can be a fake prince, go in there and marry her. Sounds simple enough, right? I mean, hey, what could possibly go wrong? And when you see the other suitors, there are three others. One of them is the main bad guy. He is a Mongol, and he too doesn't really have a real name, but he wants to take the city of Baghdad, and even if he doesn't win the princess's hand, he still has an army to seize the entire city, because anything we know about the Mongol Empire is that if there's a kingdom out there and it's right next door, we gotta take it, because that's just what the Mongols did. And so, when the princess finally sees the Mongol, she's like, oh, he's terrifying, I don't like him, send him away, or something like that. And then you have the prince from India, and she goes, he looks like a grumpy-looking Jafar, I don't know if I could deal with that. And then you have the prince of Persia, who, basically, you can call him Captain Diabetes for all I care. The dude's a really big guy, he's always sitting down, which kind of explains the diabetes part. You have his servants pushing poles on him so that he can sit up straight, and she's like, nah, he's too fat, that's just too much to deal with. Half the time I thought he was dead in this movie. And then here comes the fake prince. You know, the whole thief disguised himself as a prince, and she finally falls in love with him. So, I mean, obviously, he's the one guy that's actually good looking in this entire group of men. But anyway, that's where the similarities between Aladdin and the Thief of Baghdad kind of end. I mean, there's still a magic carpet that shows up later on in the movie, but also there's a magic crystal, there's a magic apple, there's also a magic treasure chest where anything you pull out will be whatever your heart's desire. Yeah, there's no genie in this movie. That is an entirely different Arabian Nights story that Disney put together with this one in order to make the story of Aladdin. But either way, it's still a very entertaining movie, and I really did enjoy this version of the story of Aladdin. And quite honestly, The Thief of Baghdad feels like two different stories. You got the first part where the thief is pretending to be a prince and trying to win her heart and everything. And then you have the second part, and the second part technically is more of an adventure story. The princess says, okay, I want all the suitors to go out there in the world, find the rarest treasure, and whichever one is the rarest, that is the one that she is going to marry. So all the suitors go out there. The thief goes on his own quest to finally turn himself into a real prince and all that stuff. It's still a very fun story, but it's really hard to really connect the dots because one half of the story feels like the normal half, the fun version of Aladdin, and then you have this adventure story where the thief is fighting off big monsters, climbing big cliffs, going through caverns full of fire, swimming deep oceans, and it just feels like an entirely different story, and it's just hard to really connect the dots. But either way, this movie does a really good job on keeping me on my toes so that I'm not bored once while watching it. So I gotta say, The Thief of Baghdad, if I had a top 10 list of silent pictures that I would definitely recommend, this movie would probably be top 7 at best. So I gotta say, The Thief of Baghdad is most definitely legendary. And it's a complete surprise. And the fact that it's a familiar story, but in a different direction, and it's still gosh darn entertainment that we don't need Robin Williams to entertain us for half the story. Well, granted, Robin Williams did make Aladdin a whole lot more fun, but either way, it's still a very good story. So guys, The Thief of Baghdad. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Whatever you thought, comment down below. Also, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share my videos as much as possible so I can finally get monetized enough to challenge other reviewers to do the exact same challenge. And I'll see you in the next video.